This is Yerushalmi Terumos. The article also edition we on Daf Kuf Aleph, Ahmed Aleph, and we got pretty far to Kuvav from the Aleph yesterday. We had to stop on the studio. We got to Rabbi Shem Rebbe Lezer. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 lines down. First word line is Para, and the second word is Chevraya. In the Vilna, that is on the top, very top, Vav Ralph, makes it very easy to find. And our orientation should be a schos for Am Yisrael in our ongoing war against our enemies, Yimach Shemam Zichram, speedily in our time. Okay, so says the Gemara. Rabbi B'Shem Rebbe Lezer. Chachamim agree with Rebbe Lezer that a mashka suruch meikoro, meaning salt water, which is repulsive from the get-go, that it's tummy. But v'hatzininan, we learned, it's a question, Mamoil, mayhem, the moil which comes out of olives. And it is considered to be the black water which flows from olives, and it's mashkes ruach meikoro, evidently. The Lezer mitayr, chacham mitamim. Lezer says it's tar, and chachamim say it's tameh. So Rebbe Lezer doesn't concede the point. Rebbe Lezer holds mashkes ruach is not metame, right? So it's not machshir, not metame. Where you can see the point is by actual salt water, by water from the Mediterranean, which is salt water. Even though they're repulsive, they're not potable. What does she use the whole time? Not potable water. They're so-called water. The gathering of water is called a sea. Well, the sea is seawater, salt water, yet it's called mikveh hamayim. The Haggadah Zad Yishem Yavos said, "Moed l'chachamim b'mei tchodim." Mei shlokos, by water which was cooked with him, in which beets were cooked and other vegetables. She'ena machshirim, which is they're not considered to be b'chlal mashke. So this is what Rabbi Eliezer says. The Mishnah said that may pairs are mashke in order to be matam, in order to be machshir. The meitram meishlok is water which the meishlokas are cooked. They're not machshir because they're not considered a mashke. My Gemara I wrote, evidently because he didn't think about them as a beverage to drink, so therefore not considered to be a beverage. The Rosh Hashanah writes that Mary b'mitz hayotzimem. It's not about the water in which it's cooked. It's about the liquids which they expel when they are cooked, and those are not considered to be mashke according to even Rabbi Eliezer. Okay, so the lo manu chachamim shiva mashkim kamone patamim. That's a header which I don't, probably is not in the middle now, I'm guessing. It's not right. So Rabbi Yochanan said, "Im yom elchadim shmoyne mashkin." So he tells you there are 8 mashkin, but he wants to add an 8th to the 7, and Morlo to tell him how reital umayim min echad. Dew and water are really the same thing, and yet in the count of 7 mashkins, yad shachat dam. The dam is maim, and the mem and dam is maim, and the test in shachat is tal. Chachamim counted them as 2. They got so detailed where if there was another one, do you think they wouldn't have counted it? So therefore, do not entertain the thought that any of the mashkin you would think to the 8 or to the 7 actually are mashkin. No, they were precise, and they counted 7 mashkin. Halacha Gimel. Ein ein osim tamorim devash. That you don't make dates into honey. It's truma. V'lo tabuchiyim, nor apples into wine. The lo sidvanios chametz, nor sidvanios, which is I forget what type of grape it is. But anyway, you don't make into vinegar. Charcoal because it's downgrading them, and it's a loss. That's not the way they normally eat. The charcoal same the and all other pears, we don't change them from their normal mode of consumption. B'chuma ma'aser sheni, we'll talk about chuma ma'aser sheni. Elazeta ma'arivad. The only things allowed to change are olives and grapes. Ain't some shum arla. You don't get malchus for eating arla. Ela yetzim nazeisim anovim. Of course, on all the fruits you get on anything, but on the beverage which comes out of the arla, it's only on olive oil and wine, grape juice. Then mashkin also don't mean bikurim fresh new fruit based on mikdash as beverages. Other than that, it comes from olives and grapes. And also, it's not mashkin, meaning that it's not considered one of the shiva mashkin if it's a beverage from fruit, except for olive oil and grape juice oil or wine. And the sochim, which only come mizbech, of course, only come wine and olive oil. That was Mishnah. Mishnah Gimel, I assume, doesn't say here. Anyway, now Mishnah Dalet. Ugarine Truma. Oh, sorry. Ukteitainim, Ugrokos Eklusim, the stems of the figs and dates and klisim, another type of figs. Achruven Shel Truma and carobs of Truma. Surim Zorim. They're also for Zorim. And it's the stem which comes out of the fruit. They're all also for Zorim. They have the status of Truma like the fruit itself. Okay, says the Gemara. Rabbi Elo Shem Rabbi Eliezer said, "Kini masnis is the way to read a Mishnah. Ain osim bikur mashkin eletzim minat zeisim minat oven." So this is a little background which the Gavanaki gives based on the Gra and the Marafulda. It says at the end of Chala, Yosef Akor heavy bikur v'yayim b'shem lokiblu imenu. Yosef Akor brought bikurim from wine and oil. They're not accepted from him. And the word asks from our Mishnah says, "Im v'im bikurim mashke el yotzim minat zeisim navi." You can bring bikurim yayim b'shem. So why did they accept it from him? So the Gemara says, our Mishnah is should say ein osin bikurim mashke yotzim minat zeisim navi. And the Kohen, you have to bring it as grapes and olives. You, the person who brings the Kohen, can bring them as olive oil and grape juice. But the Kohen is not allowed to make beverages out of the other fruit, whereas Bikurim is allowed to make beverages out of the olives and the grapes. So this is a change in the girsa from what it says in the Vilna. And the Vilna says a medvian Bikurim mashke yotzim, which is basically exactly the same as our Mishnah. That's why the Gra and Marafulda change it, and the Rigbaz also obtain oisim, because otherwise it's not changing anything. Our Mishnah. Vafilu mishazan. That's it says vafilu mishazachim b'aylim. Even once the owners have acquired them, meaning the Kohen, so they can't change other fruits into beverages, only olives and oils. For Tanya, so it says the Gemara says didn't we learn derech bikum lavia mashkin? The derech is being bikurim mashkin. So why didn't they accept from Yosef HaKohen the olive oil and the grapes? Minayin Shavi. And how do you know you're allowed to bring them? Because it says Tam Lomer Tavi. Presumably it's a reboy. In other words, you're allowed to bring in another form, which is grape slash wine olive oil. So says Gemara, Talmud, that's a special case in that brisa. You initially collected, you recorded with the intent to make them wine and olive oil before you brought them to the base of Mikdash. But here, you did not collect them for that purpose, and therefore you collect them to remain as fruit, and therefore they have to remain as fruit. Tanya, we learned that the not sure I wrote here. Something Ose Truma. I'm not sure I meant. Let's see. Tanya Zaysim show Truma Tahirim Yasu Shemen. If you have brought, you have olive. Oh, not Bikurim, but not Bikurim, obviously. You have olives and Truma, which are Torah. You're allowed to make them to oil. Tmeim lo yaseh shemen. You could make to tummy olives into oil, and the reason is because the even though the shemen tummy is permissible to use shemen straight for the purpose of making a fire, you shouldn't do it. Because you might leave them around till you get to make them oil. You might eat them. He says that you have the wine, grapes, where the tomato you should not make them into wine. Okay, so now the Gemara is going to say the Yaakov only Shmo a different. Yaakov says, Zaysim Torim yeks can be made into olive oil. We know they argue about this, and Taros Yasu also they can be made into grape juice slash wine. Tomatoes Yasu. If they're tomatoes, they should not be made into grape slash wine. The Rabbi Yehuda says, "Mother Rabbi Lezer Yeshua Zaysim Torim." Rabbi Lezer Yeshua both agree by Zaysim, which are Torah, and in the brackets here I have a Novin Taharos. Yes, so obviously that was in by Rashi or someone. Novin Shiasu, that they can be made into olive oil or grapes. I'm not going to make. Shazmei Loyasu that says no. Shomei Yasu, they can. And it takes out here about Novin Ben Torah Ben Tameos Yasu. Amar Rabbi said, "Money by Lezer Yeshua Zaysim Term Shiasu." Zaysim Torah can be made into grape juice. And Novin Tameos Zaysim Tameim and Novin Tameos and Zaysim Shloyasu. They shouldn't be made into beverages. I'm not going to Novin Tyrus. My Lezer my Leasu Yoshua Mer Ye Asu. So so he goes on and on. Let's see if I can get this to show you here this chart. You can actually see the chart here. Take a good look at it. Okay, so the chart says, according to Kama, Zaysim Tahorim Yeyasu Tmeim Lo, and Novin Taurus Lo, and because they are the reason given by is because they are more Olul L'Kabel Tuma as a mashke. Tmeos also low. Okay, so Yeyasu, that's by Novin Zaysim Tahorim. Lo by Zaysim Tahorim. Low by Novin Tahorim because they are more likely to become Tameh, and low by Novin Tameos as well. The next one we have is Rabbi Yaakov. He holds, he's talking in Neimer and Meir, but he says, according, it's a machlekes. Okay, there is no, you should argue. Lezer holds Zaysim Tori, Lezer both of Zaysim Tori can be made oil. Rabbi Eliezer holds that if they are if they are tamei, they should not be made oil. But Rabbi Yoshua holds you can. It's not choshen takala. You can put them into clean molds, and then you won't come to eat them, to drink them. And they both agree by Novin Torah say they can be made into grape juice, and by Novin Tmeos that they cannot be made into grape juice. And that's the line over here. Rabbi Yaakov holds, according to Rabbi Eliezer, and Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Shabbat holds Zaysim Torim, you can make into olive oil. If it's Zaysim Tmeim, it's machlekes. According to Rabbi Eliezer, Choshesh Lo Takola, and according to Rabbi Yeshua, we're not, because you put them in klimos. And they both agree on Novin Torah Yesu and Novin Tmeos Lo Yesu scriptures. The next sheet that we have is Rabbi Yehuda, and he holds in basically Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yeshua. He doesn't argue with Rabbi Yaakov that by Zaysim Torim Yesu, both by Zaysim Tmeim, it's machlokes between Rabbi Eliezer holds and Lo Yesu and Rabbi Yeshua holds Yesu. And in Novim Torah, they both hold Yesu. And Novim Tmeos, then we have a machlekes, which is a fascinating thing. According to Rabbi Eliezer, should not be made of grape juice. According to Rabbi Yeshua, they can, because you can use the chatzonim, and that's also the next Gemara. You can use the chatzonim, the seeds, as fuel. Okay, so we have here again, according to Rabbi Yehuda. So it's the same as Rabbi Yaakov over here. Says Yaakov over here. Says Yaakov over here. Says Yaakov over here. Machlekes is over here. That Rabbi Eliezer holds that Novin Torah should not be made into grape juice, and Yeshua holds you can, because you can use the chatzonim as fuel. Finally, we have the shita of Rebbe, who says that Rabbi Eliezer and Yeshua both agree that Zaysim Torah can be made in olive oil. So they both agree that Zaysim should not be made in olive oil, because the Choshesh V'Takol, obviously. There's a machlokes by Novin Torah, according to Rabbi Eliezer, you should not make them into grape juice, presumably because they're more over kabatuma, like Rabbi Yaakov said. According to Rabbi Yeshua, you can. According to and by Novin Torah, they both agree they should not be made into grape juice. So again, this is sure both agree yeyasu by kosher olive oil. So everybody across the board agreed that kosher olive oil is okay. Tamei Torah olive is okay. Here he goes like Rabbi Yaakov again, that by tamei, where the tamei low, both agree low, like Rabbi Yaakov said at the beginning. And by tahoros, so here we have machlokes. First time we have machlokes. Rabbi Yaakov, everybody who says that Rabbi tahoros should not be made into grape juice. Everybody, according to Rabbi Yaakov, Rabbi Yehuda, everybody agreed Novin Torah which can be made in grape juice. According to Rebbe, it's machlokes. Those holds not, and Rabbi Yeshua holds yes. And then finally by Novin Tmeos, so he agrees. But everybody else, everybody agrees that low shouldn't make it. And again, the only exception there was Rabbi Yehuda holds, because the chatzonim, you can make tamei grapes into grape juice to use the seeds as fuel. And that's the next part of the Gemara. Gemara says, Rav Yonah of the Rav Meir, all the other everybody else overwhelms Rav Meir. It says, Novin Torah Yosu. As by Novin Torah, you can make them into it's not according to Rabbi but the Rabbi Yaakov, Rabbi Yehuda, they both say they are Novin Torah, you can make them into grape juice. The Lamar Marleas, why Rabbi Meir say that they should not be made into grape juice? So he says, the chashuvas saying okay, it's a mashka. So again, the way Kamanaki explains, it's not that they're more chashuv because grape juice wine is very chashuv, but rather they're less likely to be makabel tuma. Kama Rav and Rabbi Yehuda, everybody else overruns Rabbi Yehuda about Novin Tmeos Shleios. should not be made into grape juice. Why is that we have a shita that, according to Rabbi Yeshua, they can be made into grape juice? They use the skins and the pits as fuel. Zaysin Tmeim, by Zaysin Tmeim, Rabbi Meir Chad. One says that they are they have one opinion, the Aser, Rabbi Yaakov, Rabbi Yehuda Chad, they have another opinion, Mimatir. Hech Avdi Nuvda. What should we do? No answer. So, according to the Halacha, the Rambam allowed all of them. It's Tomei, you only allowed to squeeze less than the kibetza, so the mashke don't ever become tummy. So that's squeezing everything, but making sure that the beverage doesn't become tummy, because if you squeeze less than a kibetza of olives or grapes at a time, then the mashke which you give them does not become tummy. And that brings us to substantially onto Kuf Beis Aleph, almost at the bottom. To Rebbe Zero, which is 3 lines before the Mishnah, but couldn't stop in the middle today. Apologize for having gone on that long.